who's with us. And Caro, I want to go to you right off the top here tonight. And Matthew, your show on Monday night, Footy Classified, a very, very interesting conversation with Chris Scott, the Geelong coach, which raised a few eyebrows and really made a few of us shudder.
Yeah, he had a lot of interesting things to say, but the most interesting, I reckon, Ed, was his comment about the quality of life of AFL coaches.
His career as a coach is over, but it doesn't need to be. Would you like to see him do it?
No.
No. Why?
I wouldn't, because it's not a very good job, to be honest.
Do you think Brad has a better existence now than you do?
Yeah.
In terms of your professional...
Yep. Yep.
Now, it had been a long and pretty exhausting day for Chris Scott, and a long week, it must be said, Ross. But talking about the fact that he, as the coach of one of the great clubs in the AFL, a premiership coach, has a better life now than his brother Brad Scott, really raised our eyebrows. And then to say that it's not a very good job, it is really concerning.
Yeah, very candid and a very considered person. So I love your point. He's not at a club that hasn't got strong support around Chris. And he's had success, premiership, prelims, grand final last year. But the news cycle, the digital platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and he's fully supported, but the pressure to keep winning and continually win is clearly, and he coached from 33 years of age. Let's not forget that. He's 44. It's 10 years, jumped into the hottest seat on the back of Bomber Thompson and the great Cats, and then won a premiership in his first year. So been incredibly successful, but it's a grind. But there's clearly benefits as well. And I think he went on to say, you've got to keep weighing up. So maybe at some point he'll step away, regenerate and find his... But you can get ground down.
So we've seen in the last year 3 marriage breakups. We've seen some tragic stories, you know, Danny Frawley, the most tragic, and obviously the issues that Dean Laidley's had, Mark Thompson's had. So many different examples, but these are 2 other... This is both Don Pike and Alistair Clarkson over the last 2 years.
The landscape we now operate in as an industry is more challenging than ever for players, administrators, boards, coaches, and this is leading to a wide range of issues around contentment. I hope that in the future we can find a better balance in how we view the game, regardless of result. Otherwise, I do fear for the people's genuine love of the game.
I'm a bit concerned for our profession, to be fair, you know, particularly the 17 peers in the roles that we've got. It's now getting to a point where we're seeing some real casualties out of our industry, and I don't think that's a good thing.
Does that worry you?
Well, I remember I never admitted it when I finished, but I didn't enjoy the game a lot because it was just more the pressure I was putting on myself to perform every week. And I remember Justin Kosicki retired and said, I can't remember the last game of football I enjoyed playing. And people who around me who have never played AFL said, that's unbelievable, because it's good. So then I said, I understand where he's coming from because of the pressure of it. But now I'm retired and out of it, I think, how lucky am I that I got to play AFL football for 15 years? So I think that's what, if I could go back in time and have my career again, I'd smell the rose a bit more. When you play a good game, actually take the time to enjoy it, not say, I've got to do it again next week. And I think that's what I'd even say to senior coaches.
Yeah. And it's going right through the industry.
Yeah,
I mean, I know Gil McLaughlin has felt like he can't do anything right without somebody giving him a belting. We've seen presidents step aside in the last 12 months. You know, long-term people like Peter Gordon and Colin Carter and, you know, all sorts of different people all the way through.
That's a voluntary role, and Gillen's role, you're always whacked if you're the head of the organisation.
Yeah,
but they're fish bowls, aren't they? Adelaide's a fish bowl. Perth was a fish bowl.
Are you happier now?
It's a simpler life. It's a less complicated life. There's elements that you would like, and you know, clearly there's a lot of benefits for your family as well. But I'm living a simpler life, more leisure time, less stress. Even I can make a mistake here, tip the wrong team, like, you know, tipped Collingwood to win, but no one goes, oh, you tipped Collingwood to win. Like, you just move on. It's, you know, so it's a simpler life, Caroline. So, is the easiest thing I could say.
Just a quick question, Ross. So if you were to say that the AFL coach Jason was to come to you and say, what's the tools an assistant coach needs to become a senior coach? Because we see a lot of people who say, yeah, he's a great assistant, but put him in the driver's seat and they'd fail.
But it's more than just the person. It's the whole club. You need a Brian Cook. Yeah. You need a great president. You need a great football operations. Any of those are out of kilter. You need a great player group. I've had great player groups, my first 2. But there are player groups out there that aren't as easy to handle and aren't capable of delivering what they need to. So it turns on the coach. It's a very complex answer, that one.
He had a bit more to say, Chris Scott, and Ed, well, let's have a listen to what you said about Chris Scott in the coach's box last week and Chris's response.
If you're having a drinking game, and there's a few people who do, watching Chris Scott go off at the umpires, you're gone by quarter time, and the umpires and the AFL not happy with the constant theatrics.
What aren't they happy about?
I think they're not happy with the constant demonstrative attack on the umpires while game is being played.
I don't think Ed knows what he's talking about, to be honest. I think.
Why do you say that?
Because I think there are some people I really respect at the AFL who are strong personalities and would pass that information on to me if they felt that way. And they certainly wouldn't pass it on to Ed without passing it on to me.
So can I just say, Chris Scott and I actually get on very well with each other. We spoke over the weekend and we catch up and have a great regard for each other. I agree with what he said there partly. He hears from Steve Hocking, who's a very close friend of him. They work together. His brother works in the organisation. But that's at that area. I speak to other people and my phone was going off. I didn't go soliciting. I didn't walk in here last Wednesday.
From senior AFL people.
Senior AFL people. You're watching this. He's going off again. And so that was where I came from. And let's not forget that those great friends of his still gave him a $10,000 suspended fine the next day. My point is, there's no battle going on there with these situations.
No. He said he has a lot of respect for you, but he said you didn't know what you were talking about.
But
well,
it's incumbent on those AFL officials not to feed it to you. Pick up the phone and talk to.
Yeah, but
if
I
that's
talk
what
to
they
people.
believe.
They're not feeding to me. They weren't feeding to me as a conduit. We're talking
not
about
as a
what was going on.
But if they feel that and they're in a position where they could pick it up, pick up the phone.
Very much so. But what they did is they got.
Ross makes a good point.
I think it's a very good point.
Clubs and AFL officials often tell me things and get me to say it because they're not prepared to say it to...
But they did say it in the end because Steve Hocking gave him a $10,000 suspension.
As a result of this, can you see his body language changing in the box?
Probably, but for Chris, I think we're going to roll some videotape here of what was said in the paper. I agree with Chris in that I feel for him sometimes at Geelong that if they win, it's Dangerfield and Selwood and everybody else. They lose, it's the coach. And to your point before, Ross, he took over a club that was just about shot when we fixed them up in the 2010 preliminary final at Collingwood. The next year, beat us 3 times, won the flag. Not only that, though, but by getting to the finals all the years, OK, you don't win them all because they're hard to win. He has helped Geelong set up the redevelopment down there, their membership, everything. And I think he sometimes feels that if he was handing out gold bars in Luley Street, or not, what's the street down there? Malloop Street, Mallup Street, what's it?
I was going to say Ryrie Street.
Ryrie Street. If they're handing out gold bars in Ryrie Street, people complain they're too heavy.
There's no doubt, Matthew, the AFL let it drag on far too long.
Yeah, and I agree with everything. I think everyone just needs to have a good look at it. And I think he was very brave to come on the show on Monday night and articulate what he had to say. And I think there's a lesson there for everybody to learn.
Ed, just want to discuss an article that was
written, a good man.
By Mark Robinson in the Herald Sun.
This is the one I was calling for.
Yeah, you were, Ed. And this was around the Snooze Fest at the MCG on Easter Monday yesterday. It was, a couple of days ago around what went on in the first half and then became a slog in the second half. And it was a last man standing affair. I think, Mark, this is some of the pieces of play. I don't think Geelong, I think it's more about Geelong just aren't playing the footy they'd like to be playing at the moment. They would have planned for Jeremy Cameron to be playing. They would have been planning for Dangerfield to be playing, Mitch Duncan, Sam Menegola. Higgins does his hamstring. So I think they're just scratching around. But what I'd say is it's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, I would have thought, because we've had 14 of our 27 winners so far kick over 100 points. And that was the footy of the last 5 years. But how good has the footy been in the first 3 rounds?
Collingwood had played a boring last minute in the game on the other night. But on this situation, he's playing Hawthorn on Easter Monday. You've just got to get the W, don't you, in that situation?
Let's go to the point. He's been criticised for winning.
For winning.
That's the job description says, Chris, please win.
You were criticised a lot winning the way you did, didn't you?
Oh, I don't know. But I think it's misplaced. Yeah, it was. But it doesn't worry me.
I know.
But like 09, we kicked 100 points 14 times or more and averaged 100 points, 99.5. But it doesn't suit the narrative, so it's very selective. I can't believe he was criticised for winning a game of AFL football.